Now, during this divorce phase, a lot of these women will get a pretty significant bump in cash. All right, but you'll see the value keeps going down because to men, money, power, fame, we don't care. It doesn't matter. You can be a brain surgeon, you can be a politician, you can sing in front of 1 million people and make a bazillion platinum records. We don't care. Time for another episode of Live from the Lair. And today I'm going to be going over a couple of graphs. I actually gave this talk to a couple of dudes a few days ago over a few choice beverages. By the time it was all over, we're all laughing our asses off. But we all walked away a lot wiser. Now, behind me are two graphs. This one's for men, and this one's for women. Yes, there's only two genders, and if you're offended by that, go to another channel. Both of them have roughly the same stuff going on. You have your value here, your age here, and as you progress, things change here within the variables. Same thing over here for the woman graph. Being somebody who's been around for a while, and I remember exactly what it was like in high school and in my younger days. There's a reason why they draft guys at 18 because they have almost no value and they're incredibly expendable. I mean, that's just the truth of the world. It's been like that for, since the beginning of recorded history.
The war on the West is no longer about men or women. It's about the ideological subversion of Western minds by foreign actors cloaked in a public relations-friendly outfit called feminism. Join the fight against the destabilization of our very civilization by reading Surviving Fourth Wave Feminism. Learn some inconvenient truths by clicking on the link in the description, because every time you do, a pansexual non-binary socialist cries.
Over here, I start off at 18. I should have started off at like 15, but I'm going to keep everything legal. Now over here between 18 and roughly 24-ish, where your career line starts, that old saying, bros before hoes. Well, that doesn't apply here. It's hoes before bros, and don't you deny it. Because you are so low on the value curve that whenever you get a chance to take a crack at it, that's exactly what you're going to do. Okay, now I know there's guys out there, Pop, that's not true. Yeah, come on. Listen, I've been there. I got it. All right, now I put a career line in here, roughly around 24. There's a lot of guys who start working in the trades right out of high school, but you gotta work your way up. That takes 5 to 6 years before you start making decent money. And those people who went to college, usually after college, it takes a year to 3 years to get into your career. So put you right around 24. 25, plus or minus a year. All right, so once you start making the money, you'll see how this starts to go up. All right, now, oddly enough, the first marriage window starts around 24, 23, and goes into, I stopped it here roughly at 32, but it goes plus or minus a few years in there. This isn't exactly accurate, but you'll see how your value line goes up here. Now, as the value line goes up for the men, when you cross right around 34 and you've been, working in your career and living in the real world for about a decade, you start to realize the value of money, how much time it takes to accomplish stuff, how easily you can lose it, and sometimes it's next to impossible to earn back. So when you get to the dick thinking line and you reach this epiphany, you're like, wait a minute. You know, those are a nice set of cans she's got there, but is it really worth a brand new car every 3 to 5 years? I don't know. Or you get to this line and you're like, you know, I'm busting my ass here and I'm working 60 hours a week and she's working like 20 and I'm bringing back this much money and she's not, and somebody needs to change some dynamics here. And after here, you're thinking with the big head. You know, all through all of this stage here, you're thinking with the little head. And to be honest with you, that is not a big head. Okay, it's very small. And if you ever want to know where the saying, I need that like I need a hole in the head, well, there you go. Because that little hole in that little head is where all the bad decisions come out. And roughly, the dick thinking years here sets up a majority of men for a karmic ass beating, you know, for the next 20 to 30 years, depending upon what state you live in and if you are obligated by law to pay for college for said fortification trophies or vaginal turds. You can call it whatever you want. All right, now you also see this black box here. This is basically the primary divorce years, because typically most people, preferably men, because 80% of divorces are filed by women, get divorced right around the first punch out year. And for people who don't know what that is, 7, 13, 21, and 24 are the primary punch-out years for divorce. 7 years being the first review. All right, now, they get married here. Usually 7 years later, they're looking to get divorced. This line and that line can move. But roughly, it's 33 to roughly, 42 to 44. And a lot of people realize the mistakes they made in their dick thinking years when they get here. I was one of them, Allegedly, I married a raging hooer. I ignored a lot of red flags, and quite frankly, a lot of it's my own fault. But in my defense, said ex was really good at hiding her crazy. Now, when we get beyond the main divorce years, you'll see how the power line continues to go up to roughly 48 to 50. This moves a little bit, and it pretty much stabilizes. It doesn't really go up any more than that unless you have fame, power, money, or in combination thereof, and then this could keep going all the way up. All right, now, if you are one of those few men out there that has access to fame, power, and money, this actually can cause this curve to go up a lot steeper. Usually, that's not the case. Very few people actually, unless you're a celebrity or you're born into money, have access to this stuff early on. Okay, but a lot of people who work their asses off can get there a lot sooner, like in here. So you can go all the way up, and keep climbing. But usually if you're a normal dude like me, you kind of stabilize right here. And it's, for the most part, if you don't get married again or have any health issues, we call this the safe zone. All right, now, one of the main reasons we refer to it as the safe zone is basically you're done making concessions. You have made all the concessions here. You realize that there's no upside to it at all. And you're like, fuck that, I'm out. You can take it or leave it. Now, this actually started for me roughly right at 40. And I can't tell you how many ladies I've known after 40 where you start getting the, where is this going? What do you think of me? Blah, blah, blah. And I look at them and go, And then they're like, what does that mean? And I go, I can take it or leave it. It is what it is. Yeah, this is nice. Hanging out's good, but you know what? I've been down this road before. I know where it leads if I let it get out of control. So I'm going to just dial it back here. Now, a lot of women who get to, in this phase, who meet men older than 40, and they like to nag them and make demands, it's not going to work out for them unless the dude's like a total thirsty simp or a cuck. I'm not seeing it. Okay, now this is the male graph in a nutshell. All right, now if there's anything I didn't put in there, comments below. We're going to move over to the other one. All right, now you will see here, this is basically the same graph, the power value, the age value here. And you'll see how a lot of women at the age of 18, they start off way up here. Okay, now a woman who is young, very attractive, even to semi-very attractive, commands a lot of influence and power right out of the gate. It's a huge, it's basically an inverse power dynamic. Men start way down here, and if they're lucky, they can get roughly 2/3 to halfway up there and then stabilize. These women start out with a lot of power right here, and it's not healthy for them in the long run. All right, now you'll see here 18 to roughly 25, 24-ish. This is the college years or the party years and the thought process of I got time. All right, now we've made a bunch of videos about this particular phase, sorostitutes. A lot of women basically go crazy here and fail the dick stacking test. A lot of them by the age of 22. Now what I mean by that, there's been a lot of studies that show if a woman has a lot of sexual partners, her chances of effective pair bonding go to almost nothing. And that number isn't that high. It's somewhere between 4 and 6, depending upon the study you read. I don't really have, those studies are not at the forefront of my mind, but you can Google them or Bing them or DuckDuckGo, find them yourself. Now that we covered that, you have the marriage years right here. Now, women will get married, a lot of them start getting married roughly at 23, and this goes up to roughly 30, 31. I think the average marriage years now for women in America is somewhere between 27 and 28 years old. And for a dude, it's like 28 to 32. All right. I also put the career wall in here because a lot of women that go to college, they want to have that career. Now you'll see right here where their power dynamic takes a huge hit and starts going down real quick here, roughly when the career starts. Because now they're working a job. They're burning up a lot of time. All right, they're focusing on that career, and they are not paying attention to the biological clock of fertility, which is a real thing. And you will see here after the age of 25, basically their eggs are drying up so fast it sounds like Rice Krispies in milk. I'm just saying here. Like, don't be mad at me. I'm just telling you the truth. Okay, now this is another weird thing. A lot of these women start to get divorced just as they're hitting the beginning of the wall, like the divorce, the divorce phase here. It's very similar to men. It does go a little bit beyond 42, maybe 44. A lot of these women, I don't know if it's a new midlife crisis or they get bored, something's not working out. I have no idea. My guess is they damaged themselves so much here by failing the dick stacking test that they're paying for it here down the road. They're basically not pair bonding and punching out at breakneck speed. I can't tell you how many guys I know told me they were happily married, everything was going great, blah, blah, blah. Then they get hurt. Then they lose their job or some other life-altering event happens to them. And their wives that they thought they were having such a great time with, they thought everything was great, file for divorce and punch out. That's exactly what happened to me when I came home wounded from Iraq. Basically, I didn't know it at the time, but a red line had been drawn through my name and I was slotted for destruction. It's the truth. I'm just telling it how it is. I don't lie to you guys. But karma is not without its irony here, because you will see that they start doing this, the beginning of hitting the wall and going through the process of slamming through the wall. All right, and a lot of them will actually come out the back end, roughly 40, and still get divorced. Now, the reason I put this as a wide bracket, it all depends upon the female's genetics, okay? Some women really start to go to crap at 30, and some of them will hold it all the way into their late 30s, and, there you go. Listen, I have met very, very few 40-year-old women that did not look like they had hit the wall. Very few. I think maybe I could think of half a dozen. And other than that, even that half dozen, you can still see, by the time they were 40, you could still see it on them. Only one did not look like she had hit the wall, but I did run into her, I think 3 years later, and whatever she had missed up until 40 hit her with a newfound vengeance, because holy crap, that woman looked like 3 pounds of dog shit in a 1 pound bag. Here's right over here, when you get over here to the end of the divorce phase, there's a phenomena that starts happening roughly around 40. See this line here? Okay, these women start to become invisible to men. All right, there's a lot of guys. I know most guys out there who are really not in the market for dealing with 40-plus-year-old women, especially if they've been divorced and they filed for divorce, especially if they divorce rape their basically first or second husbands. Now, during this divorce phase, a lot of these women will get a pretty significant bump in cash, especially if they get a good settlement and they wind up with alimony and child support and so forth. All right, but you'll see the value keeps going down, because to men, money, power, fame, we don't care. We don't care. All right, it doesn't matter. You can be a brain surgeon, you can be a politician, you can sing in front of 1 million people and make a bazillion platinum records. We don't care. When you get to a certain age, it just doesn't matter to us anymore. Very few guys will look favorably upon that, I'm just saying. And you'll see here that the value goes down and bottoms out to roughly what a man's value was when he's 18, which is basically next to nothing, all right? Maybe it's a 1 on the scale. And it goes on, it pretty much levels out at that until they leave this mortal coil. And another consequence that these women seem to get into, especially if they can't find another sucker to remarry, at roughly, by the ages of about 54 on, a large percentage of these women will be in poverty. In fact, there's so many of them in poverty, they're screaming to change the laws, to ass rape men even more, to take them out of basically their own karmic wall of destruction of poverty that they did to themselves. That's it in a nutshell. So dudes, listen, when you're over here, okay, don't sweat it, all right, because it will get better for you. All right, now when you're in the divorce window and you're getting crashed and smashed and pounded in the ass by the divorce court and family court or whatever they call it in your state, country, or region, just remember, sooner or later, you're going to make it to the end of the tunnel. You're going to stabilize. You're going to be fine. And if you're lucky enough to earn enough cash, you can build a ramp and take it to the moon and do whatever the hell you want. All right, now hopefully this lecture makes sense to you. It sounded a lot better when I had, 4 to 6 shots in me, but, what are you going to do? I can't talk to you guys all sloppy drunk. I can only talk to you basically semi-drunk. Anyway, have a good day, gentlemen. Take it easy.